Hello, hello, Jeff Hellman here with Ballen Brands, and today I want to show you one of the widgets that I really like to use on the Elementor page builder. It's a common request to have rotating images or to display multiple images of something. So what is nice about Elementor is it has a lot of these built-in tools with a lot of functions that we're able to utilize. So today I wanted to show you the slides widget. So if I drag over the slides widget over here to the middle, it'll show you here, it says slide heading 1, and it's got this little nice click here. And it's pre-built where basically it has 3 slides by default. So I can click on each one of these slides and then I can do different things within the slide itself, some different styles and whatnot. So I wanted to take a look a little bit of more of those details. So you'll notice, for example, if I click on slide 1, heading is what it says, then I can do things like mess with the background, I can change the content, and I can change some of the style of it. So first thing I want to do is, instead of just being a box, maybe I want to actually have an image that I'm going to slide. So I can click here on the choose image, and I can pull up different photos that maybe I want to slide through. So let's say I just want to do a slide with some different images in here. So I'll go ahead and click on Insert Media. And right now it's on the slide 3 heading, so you can't see it. So it chooses that. Now it has the size, so I can change the different sizes. See, so there it comes now. So I can change the different sizes to contain, which means it'll show the whole thing, to auto, which means it'll choose how to display it, or cover. And cover would indicate more of kind of like a style, like a Facebook cover would be. So it kind of guesses, it tries to guess for you. A little difficult to do when you have heads and things like that might get chopped off, or different body parts. So you want to be conscious, of course, of what images you are using in that case. So I could go and maybe use more of like a kitchen image. We'll do that. Let's try to see how that looks. And then, it's a little different on how that plays out because it better fits the dimensions. So keep in mind that what images you choose to use, or which images you choose to use, could make a difference too. Okay, so that's one option. You choose the image and you can change the style. Now it has also other effects on it. So this one has the zoom in effect. It's called the Ken Burns effect. So it zooms in. Then I have let's go ahead and click back out of it here. Then we have the zoom out effect. So that's an option that you can do, which is really cool. Again, just gives it a really nice effect overall on some of those options there. Now I can also do a background overlay. So you'll see the overlay just kind of gives it like that dark texture so that the images, or so the content over the image is easier to see. So that's a really nice feature too, with being able to just make that a lot more visible. And then you can even change the colors. Maybe instead of just the gray, you could do something more pink or peachy, salmony. It's a lot of options here on what you can build in. So be careful. You can get a little crazy sometimes and maybe overdo it, try to get too sophisticated, and kind of find yourself getting a little further in than you need to. But you can do a color picker. You could choose the global colors, things like, there's just so much you can do in here. It's just, sometimes you just have to go and play around. It also has the actual blend itself, different things. So color burn, won't, lighten it, screen. There's a lot of different effects that you can mess with in here that really, again, just get it exactly the way that you're hoping to do without having to do any of it in an image editor, which is really super cool. Then the content section, of course, it's going to be the content. So it has slide 1 heading. So we'll just say, look at this beautiful kitchen. If I could type, there we go. Look at this beautiful kitchen. And then I can have this could be yours, right? Something like that. And then it has the button text, what I want that to say, find out more. Then I can put the link to where that button's actually going to go to. So that's another effect. Then I can, of course, choose to have it open in a new window, or make that link itself a no follow, which would be a search engine thing. I can actually add custom attributes. If I knew more like CSS and things like that, I can really dial that in, really just as sophisticated as I want to get with it. But on the surface, it has a lot of easy features that I'm able to just take advantage of. And then I can go to Style. Style allows us, again, to do custom effects, where we can really get in there with the horizontal position and aligning where the text is. Maybe I want the text over to the top left, the color shadows and content shadows. I mean, there's so much in here that we can get into and change around and do however we want to do with this particular thing to make it look, like I said, just exactly the way that you want it to come out. And then this color here that you're seeing, this background, this green, or this seafoam green, maybe we would call it, that one is, again, just kind of a default. So if the image wasn't large enough, it can still show that on the left and right or top and bottom. In this case, on that first slide, we had used an image that's large enough so it covers over top of it. But maybe you do not, maybe you don't want to use images themselves, and you want to just have, this nice bold color and these big calls to actions, when your next event is, or how to contact you, things like that. So really nice feature here to just have that nice solid background header as well. So those are the things that we're able to do in the slides. So again, you have these slides. If I wanted to add more slides, I can do that. That's a fourth one, has some automated things. Let's add a fifth one, right? I can really make as many slides as I want. We have to be careful with the slides. If we're using large graphics, we don't want to overdo it and have too many images loading. But we can, again, have really a sufficient amount, whatever it is we need to do. Now, I also have the option here with the slides itself. So you'll see here under slides, what's the height of the slides? So I can actually change how big or small that is. So maybe I don't want it quite as tall. I just want it to be, a little less bold on the page. So maybe I don't have as much that I need to look at. Now, obviously, when I get to the, this first slide, there's less of the image that you see. So again, just kind of pick what makes the most sense for you in your case. All right, so that's specific to the slides. Now, the other option we have, which is really cool, is we have a slider options. So when I click on slider options, now I can choose, am I going to give the ability to have, control the slide left and right? So navigation, arrows, and dots. So in this case, it shows you've got the dots, so I can actually click on the dots to go through to each slide. I can click on the arrows to get from slide to slide. So that's what that does. I can choose to have arrows only, so then the dots disappear. I can choose to have dots only, so that they're there. Or I can actually choose, so you can see those dots, or I can choose to actually have none. Maybe I just don't want them to be able to control it all. It has to go through at this particular sequence. There's a setting to autoplay, which obviously means it'll automatically roll through from one slide to the next. And if it's not on autoplay, we have these other options to, it takes away some of these other options that are underneath it. But if it is autoplay, do we want it to pause on hover? So that means if I actually hover over the image, do I want it to not go to the next slide? Now, this is a really cool feature because I don't know if you've ever been on one of those websites where you go to click a button and it slides before you get a chance to click it. Sometimes that could be a little frustrating. So this gives you that option that if I'm hovering over it, for it to not move to the next slide, which is really nice. Same with the pause on interaction. So does it want you to not move when I'm actually rolling around, I'm interacting with the page? Or if I'm clicking a button, or if I'm trying to drag something, it gives you that option to have it pause. There's also the autoplay speed. So we can move this up. Now this is in milliseconds. A lot of people don't understand that, but the 5,000 is actually in milliseconds, which means basically this is 5 seconds. So this one's going to slide every 5 seconds. I can change it, let's say, to every 1 second. That's an option I can do where it just is going to roll through much quicker if I just wanted to show something. I don't recommend 1 second. That's why 5 is the default, because that's really what's recommended for good user behaviors and just overall interface design. And then there's an infinite loop option. Yes, we just want it to keep rotating back and forth or over and over again as long as someone has it visible on their page. You can choose to turn that off so that it does not loop after the last one. So basically it just rolls through the 5 and stays on that 5th one with nothing further. There's also the transition. We have slide and fade. So if I turn that to fade, then it'll actually kind of fade out and the new one will fade in. That's what that feature does. So it's a little different because instead of the slide, then it has different effects on how it's going to display to get your attention when it fades in and out. And then, of course, a transition speed. So same thing. This is less than 5 seconds. The speed itself is happening in half a second instead of, obviously not 5 seconds, right? So this is the 500 milliseconds. So this equals half a second. So it takes a half a second for it to either slide or fade, whichever option we choose there. And finally, we have the content animation. So we have up, down, left, right. We have all of those options to choose to, like on how we want the content in the slide to actually come in. So see how that came from the left into the center? So that was that option. And then it zooms left and scrolls and everything else. So a lot of different options. Just play with it. It's fun. It's really cool to be able to build this without needing a design editor, without needing to open up Photoshop and create animated GIFs and things like that. I've been all that. We don't need Flash. We don't need all that. This is all just styles and CSS that we're able to do now. And Elementor does a great job of utilizing the coding that's available without us actually having to know what that code looks like. Because I can tell you, if you ever looked at the code behind here, you would see it's pretty sophisticated, but it's all easily managed because of these cool built-in features to Elementor. So if you have any questions on that, by all means, please reach out to us at team@ballenbrands.com.